Hey everybody, Larry Transformed here again, and today I'm reviewing the Transformers Energon Deluxe Class Barricade. At least I'm pretty sure he was Deluxe Class. I think that's when they finally changed it over to the Deluxe and Voyager or Ultra Class system that we have today, so I'm going to say it's Deluxe Class because it is about the same size as the current Deluxe. So Barricade here is a armored military missile launcher kind of vehicle. And you can see he does have 8 wheels. He's a very heavily armed vehicle. He's got a large missile launcher on the back here, which is just his legs kind of folded up. And I have seen different ways of this being folded up. Like, some have the legs extended to where you have the missile launcher still way out here. I have seen stock photos with it shortened like this, and to be honest, I like how this looks a little bit better. It looks less like legs and more like just a missile launcher on his back, so I'm going to leave it like that for now. For those who don't know, Barricade is the replacement for Onslaught during Energon, as he does form Bruticus Maximus with the Destruction team, I believe they were called. Destruction? Yeah. Because we had like the Air team, the Construction team, and this is the Destruction team? I don't know, something like that. And speaking of which, let's compare him to the other Decepticon Combiner leader, Steamhammer, who's part of the Construction team to make Devastator Maximus or something like that. You can see, very different vehicle mode, but about the same size, overall bulk. And just for another comparison with a similar idea, here he is next to Ice Pick from Power Core Combiners, who was a scout class. And yeah, this is of course way before Combiner Wars, when they kind of, not perfected, but got a lot closer to making a really good modern combiner. I do think this one got a bit better than Power Core Combiner, because Power Core Combiner was like, it was Scout class, and then we had these little scraps of plastic that barely made arms and legs. So it was just too small to really make an interesting looking combiner for the most part. Energon here, the torsos will be Deluxes, while the arms and legs are Scout class, so they at least got that idea better than Fall of Cybertron Bruticus did. So they are still decent size, they are still well proportioned for the most part, but the actual arm and leg modes are usually very bulky and very chunky with very low articulation. They usually don't look too good. If you see a picture of Bruticus Maximus, you'll know what I mean. I don't have any of the Scout class size figures, so I won't really do the full Bruticus Maximus mode. I'm only covering Barricade himself here. But Barricade himself is a pretty nice little missile truck. There is a lot of robot kibble showing though. Primarily the head, right behind the cab here. There's just nothing hiding the fact there's just a box around the head. That's all it's really hiding. It's just this little box of plastic and doesn't cover the side, so you're just left with the head sitting right there. Granted, with his little ear lollies, he doesn't look like a head per se from certain angles, but yeah, just robot head, just kind of chilling there. Plus, you got like the shoulders right here. You can see some of the joints. It's like the cab looks really nice, and you get everything else. At least the missile launcher is really nice. Because it is the legs, it does have a lot of articulation. Like, you can go side to side, and then you can go forward and back, so you can actually have it pointing backward. Or you can have it pointing upward, or there's a lot of things you can do with that. You can also disjoint and have it really get some crazy poses. That's all up to you, though. For the most part, though, you can just rotate the turret and point up and down, and that's more than we usually get from these kind of figures. And I do like the detail. There's a lot of nice paint on it. This is when back in Energon, they actually had a budget, so they actually put a lot of nice paint. You can see his Energon Spark Crystal there. It's upside down. And the only time it's upside up is pretty much in Bruticus mode. Well, technically Barricade mode, but in Barricade mode, in his robot mode, he's also on its back, so you don't really see it much. But yeah, the cab's pretty nice looking. Got little green headlights. You got the nice detail. Even the tires are painted. You can actually see like a metallic bronze on the tires. Like I said, this is back when Energon actually had a budget and actually has some nice sculpting, even if it's unpainted. Some nice little sculpting putting in there. But yeah, it's all pretty nice. Transformation is pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and go to robot mode. We'll save the chest mode for Bruticus for last. So you're going to start by straightening out the missile launcher. Bring it down on this little double hinge. And it'll clip to the back of the vehicle like that. Go on, rotate around till all the screws are at the back, and you see these little yellowish green highlights at the top of the hips. Split the missile launcher, take the little missile pods to the front, and it'll actually flip up and collapse in to make his feet. Take this little panel and open it up. That'll give you the room to come out on the double hinge, which proves Combiner Wars aren't the first line to do this. They were kind of doing the same idea of just flip pieces out until they look like feet, you know, or legs. I mean, I know a lot of other figures did this first too, but it's just like, it's kind of interesting to see like the precursor to Combiner Wars also did this. Those panels you are supposed to fold back up and make solid legs, but I prefer to keep them out to give him some heel spurs because he doesn't have any otherwise. You know, straighten out torso, all that good stuff. Bring the camera on up till this right here. This whole chunk that makes a cab, you're going to untab it and it's all just going to flip out of the way. You can see Baruch's head in there. And you're going to come to the top, or the back part, well, it's the back part of the cab, and you're going to want to split it. Like that. Go ahead and rotate it. Bring the arms down. The arm pegged into the, well, actually not pegged into anything, so they're just kind of sitting there. Yeah, bring it on down. There gives him his arms. Go ahead and take the head, flip it down that little panel. Finally, you're going to take these bits back here. You can't really just, you could just lay it like this, but to really collapse it in, you first got to untab the top of the cab here. Bring these little door pieces and collapse them in just to show you what we did. You can see they come down and outward a bit on a double hinge. And that gives you enough room now to take, basically fold all his hinges up. And there's a tab here on the inside of this black part, a little tab hold there on the cab. And that will hold the backpack together. So yeah, a third of his vehicle mode becomes his backpack. But there, in all of his Energon glory, is Energon Barricade in his robot mode. Now that Barricade's in his robot mode, let's go ahead and get comparisons out of the way. Oh, and two of my comparisons just fell off the table. Oh well. Here he's next to Steam Hammer. You can see Barricade holds his proportions a lot better. I think Steam Hammer for me is a little too scrawny, especially with his weird wonky arm, which can be kind of a pain to mess with, but I do think Barricade looks a lot more powerful, a lot more intimidating. It's kind of weird, especially since he's not even using a third of his mass, so I think there actually might be more plastic in Barricade. It's hard to say. Here he is next to Power Core Combiner's Ice Pick, who, yep, quite a bit shorter. That's what you expect with a Scout class. And, where's strong arm? Ah, there it is. Also, since I do not have one of the limbs, here he is next to a different Scout class strong arm, but who is about the same size as what a limb would be, so you can see that's about how big it would be if you have one of the limbs next to him. So let's go ahead and get those guys out of the way and focus on our main event here, Barricade. I gotta say, considering he isn't Onslaught, I guess, he's definitely very nice looking, and he definitely has a different profile from Onslaught. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it really says this is Onslaught's the head, but he doesn't make me immediately think of Onslaught. The colors do, though. The colors are very reminiscent of him with the blue and the green and a little bit of gray, but Onslaught was more mainly black, dark blue, and like more of a military green. Barricade here is going for more of a steel blue with a bright neon green and then a lot of gray instead of black. Well, there is a lot of black mixed into his limbs, though. So this could work as a Bruticus slash Octane, but not Octane, Onslaught, but this definitely gives Barricade his own different feel, which is pretty nice. And that backpack is also why I said I leave these folded out, because if you don't, he can stand, but you can see his balance is a lot more wobbly. He's a lot more prone to falling back. But thankfully, these panels folded out do actually give him just enough stabilization to where he's not going to fall over easy. I mean, you see I'm tapping him pretty well, and he's still keeping his pose. Oh yeah, I forgot to show this in missile truck mode, but he actually had two Decepticon symbols on the top of the missile launchers. Just to show how evil he is, I guess. He's got a lot of stiff joints, too. I mean, I mess with this figure quite a bit, and he's still got a lot of stiff joints. But yeah, I do like all the detail here. We do get, the wheels do give him a very flat-looking chest, but at the same time, since they're wheels, you can kind of ignore it. And he does have a very nice, looking chest plate with a little military. It looks like he's really heavily armored plated, especially since the sides of the military truck become the size of his arms. He looks like he could take a hit and give a really good punch. I just wish he actually came with a weapon, since Barricade here does not come with any weapons at all. And the missile launchers end up at his feet. I mean, I guess you could have him shoot from the leg, or have it transform into the missile launcher, but it makes me wish he did come with a figure. Although I guess you could always use an Energon star weapon, but he really needs a big gun or like a big melee weapon, like a giant hammer. But like I said, the details are pretty nice. Although it's kind of funny if you look at Barricade's card. his hips are the green and yellow part, while the top of the hips are black. But here it's the reverse, so it's kind of weird that it's actually the reverse of what the card in his illustration on the box shows. And let's get a good look at that head. He has like this Frankenstein thing kind of going on. It's like if you remove the size of the bolt, it would definitely be very Octane-y. Or not Octane, Onslaught. I keep getting those two mixed up. But he would probably be very similar to Onslaught. But those bolts on the side of his head, while make him look ridiculous, does give him a different look. And I guess I would say this head would be pretty nice, actually. It kind of reminds me of Swindle, too. It looks very much like Swindle. Swindle with giant bolt straps to the side of his head for no reason. Like a 50-pound barbell fell through his head. But let's get to the articulation. The head can swivel, and if you want to use the transformation joint, you can have them look up, but, you know, panel. The arms do swivel full, and you do get outward articulation. You do get a swivel above the elbow. And a ratcheted elbow, which can only do 45 or 90, but it is there, so you can use that if you wish. Waist swivel that's ratcheted, which is nice. Forward and back hips, and outward, and it's all ratchet because these are also the combiner's hips. You do get a swivel, and a really tight knee joint, once again 45 or 90 only. And technically to fit the ankle, but you could use the transformation piece to kind of give him like a walking pose, and it does kind of work. He'll definitely hold his balance, so especially if you use the heel spurs. So he does have really good articulation, especially for the time. Especially for a deluxe. I mean, a lot of times the Voyagers were the one that got really good articulation. So a lot of really nice details, actually. The one thing I really don't like about the robot mode is just the backpack. I wish it flattened out more. I remember as a kid, I would actually have it kind of like this, which looks ridiculous now, but just because it made it a little bit flatter. But yeah, there's not much you can do about that backpack. It's just kind of stuck there. Kind of the hurting part of a combiner, but the fact that you can pull off a really nice robot mode like this while being a combiner is pretty cool. So, speaking of the combining gimmick, why don't we get to that? So you're going to want to just take the waist, swivel it around. For the legs, you're going to keep the feet out like this, but you're going to collapse the legs in like before. And if you saw on the inside, there is that little bolt in there that will become the combiner port that Energon used. You can flip the little heel spur pieces shut. Same with the other side. Like so. Giving him his little hips. For the top, we're going to want to take this whole piece right here, go ahead and bring it down. You're going to go ahead and bring it up, because when you bring the head back, it'll actually help lock that little black piece in to keep this up. Then, you're going to bring the arms. Go ahead and swivel the elbow back to where it was before. You're basically mostly turning it back to vehicle mode, at least on the top part. So, shoulder up, elbow twist, and fold it down like so. Actually, no, wait, I'm doing that wrong. You actually want the shoulders outward. Same 90-degree angle, but you're going to bring it down. And there's a little tab on the arm. There's a little tab hole right here, and right with the chest. Gotta line up just right, and you should be able to get it all tab in, like so. And now give him the bolts for his little combiner port arms. Then come to this inside here, fold up this panel that the head's sitting on. You're leaving the rest of it basically as it is. Just kind of collapse it all in on itself with all those double hinges. I need this piece to come out on the double hinge actually too. There we go, like that. Bring it all over. There are two peg holes right behind Brucus's head. There's two pegs sticking off the shoulders here. And that's what's going to lock this all together into his Brucus's torso mode, like so. And then finally, bring out Brucus's ear doolollies, kind of like Cybertron Optimus. And there you have Brucus's torso mode. And I gotta say, it's not bad looking. I know it definitely doesn't remind me of the original Brucus at all, but it's a very fierce looking Decepticon combiner, at least for a chest mode. With the arms and everything, he looks a little ridiculous. If you're gonna get this set, I do recommend you getting the third-party upgrade kit that comes with Swindle and basically a new version of Swindle and I don't know, forgot the space guy's name. How can I forget that? I'm really bad. And Brucus is my favorite combiner, I forgot his name. Then you see the legs are just basically the hips, the waist piece they're saying the chest plate is new, is the vehicle mode front. Oh, I do like how they did this, where they make it look like it's extended, bulked out more, since we have the little side doors out here now. All you are stuck with the big hinges on the front, but I do like how that looks, and I like how it looks armored, like vented and such. It actually looks like it has little guns or missile launchers in there, which is pretty nice. You do get like you finally have the Energon crystal kind of set forth, and Brucus is constantly staring down at a Decepticon symbol. I always thought this Decepticon symbol was very oddly placed, because in vehicle mode it's laying at its ground. In his robot mode, it's sticking off his back, where you can't see it, and it's not even on his back, it's like on the top of his back. And here, it's just Brucus staring at it. I always thought it was a very odd place for a Decepticon symbol, because in all three modes, it really doesn't make sense. There's not a mode where it's like clearly for this mode kind of thing, you know? But yeah, and I really like that head. It's kind of got this snorkel face going on, like... I don't know. It reminds me of something like... It feels like this is what a robot would look like in Fallout or something. Just some robot who's got a heavy mask on. Plus, I really like how deep inside his eyes are. It makes him look like he is like a heavily armored guy, just completely buried in there. And it looks really cool to me. So yeah, that's Brucus's Maximus's chest mode. Not the best, and plus, if you do get the figures, the hips have to be out like this usually, just because of how the feet and how bulked up the legs are. So usually you're stuck with his hips sticking out way out there. That and the swivels and the legs don't work. Like, you get a tiny bit, but that's it. The only thing that really still works are the hips and the waist. Which is nice, but you really need that swivel to fix this guy, and he just doesn't have it. I mean, you can kind of force it, but you can hear that plastic stretching and moving. But yeah, if you're gonna get these guys, don't get them for the combiner mode, because trust me, it ain't worth it. If you do like his robot mode in his truck, and you don't mind his faults in truck mode, I do think Barricade is worth the price. He doesn't go for a lot on eBay anymore. I mean, he does have a lot of kibble, and robot mode, I still think he could use a weapon, but it doesn't really interfere as long as you have the heels out, and he's a pretty good looking robot. And the vehicle mode is pretty cool looking too, as long as you can ignore the robot head. Which you have to do a lot in Energon, considering, you know, we have Ironhide right next to him, so... I mean, there are worse cases. So, do I recommend this figure? Yeah, I think he could be a fun little toy. Just don't get him for the combined mode, unless you're getting, like, the third-party sets. So, this has been Nerdy Transformed. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you have a good day. Take care.